What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and on this video it is gonna be a trade recap on today's trade. So your boy ended up making $140 today trading NQ, and yeah, I'm gonna show you guys a trade recap on this video, and then also I'm gonna show you guys my what I would have taken on different pairs, right? If I would have traded, you know, gold or yes, whatever, right? Let's go ahead and get started on NQ. Alright, or let's no, you know what? We'll go from top to bottom. Let's go ahead and get started on gold. Alright, so here on gold, right, as you guys can see here, this this candle right here, it is the New York Stock Exchange open candle, which is this one right here. Oh my gosh, that one right there. Alright, that is the New York Stock Exchange open. Alright, let's go ahead and go to the higher time frames, right? So on the daily time frame, like as you guys can see here, at this area we are consolidating. All right, we'll go to the 4 hour, right? We're just consolidating, right? We started creating bearish structure to the downside, right? But we created break of structure. Where did we create break of structure? Right here to the upside, meaning that we are potentially going back up for buys, and we can start, looking to see what we can take for buys, right? Because right when the higher time frames were bullish, and on the 5 minute, on the 15 minute, we're also bullish. Okay, but what I was looking here on NQ was that this was the breakout candle at 820. I would have not taken this trade because at 820 that is pre-market. I don't really want to take a pre-market setup, but as you guys can see here, it did give us a breakout candle to the upside for 167 per contract. So if you would have taken this trade for a one-to-one, you would have made $167. Honestly, this was the only trade that I did see and I did like, which was the breakout candle to the upside. Even though it was a huge stop loss, which was 16 points, either way, I would have probably not taken this trade because it's $167 per contract. I risk around $150 per contract, so I'm like, no, no. So, nah, I'm good off that. I didn't, but this is the only setup that I did see that was actually really good, right? You could have probably just targeted like break even at Asia sessions high, and then just run it up from there. But there was a demand zone right here that I don't know. Let me check if it got tapped into on the 15 minute. No, it didn't. Right, so we did have a 5 minute demand zone right here that was valid, right, with the EMAs and all, but just never came back and tapped into. Right, we did have another breakout candle right here at 925. You could have taken this as well, and this one was a much lower stop loss, and you could have ran this up for almost a 1 or 2. There was another breakout happening over here, but I wouldn't trust this one over here just because it's aftermarket or after hours that I trade, so I would have not taken this trade. And yes, this one did hit for a 1 or 2 RR, and I would have risked 2 contracts on this trade. But either way, um it just I would have not traded gold. I didn't like gold when I was looking at this. I didn't really like it. Like we got the push to the upside at 835, and I was just like, all right, whatever. Okay, now NQ, boys, NQ, right? So as you guys know, we have been bearish as we're literally on a downtrend, right? So once I was looking at the higher time frames, we created breakout structure to the upside during New York session pre-market, right? So right here, or not pre-market, says yeah, pre-market. We created breakout structure to the upside during pre-market. Where is my tool? Right here, right? So on the 1 hour, 4 hour, we created breakout structure. On the 15 minute, we were bullish. On the 5 minute, we were bullish as well, right? I go to the 1 minute. Right, as you guys know, I've been trading the 1 minute a lot more. There was a 1 minute demand right here. Okay, the EMA look where the EMA is at. Let me back this up. Okay, so this is 832. Look where the EMA is at. Okay, tapped into my demand zone, my 1 minute demand zone, right? Let's go to the 15 minute first. You know what? Let's go to the 15 minute. As you guys know that we are bullish as like bro, we're just bullish. We're just pushing up to the upside, right? Low key, what I was thinking, I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe we're gonna see some counter trend setups today, right? Going to the downside. I'm like, all right, you know what? Yes, we may be bullish overall or at the moment, right? Because of the higher time frames, and everything was basically just saying bullish, right? But during New York session, we tend to take out lows or we tend to take out, highs. But the nearest high, we already had taken out uh, Asia sessions high during pre-market. We didn't take out the lows, right? There is another high above right here, okay? There is a high right there, okay? All right, so now let's go back to the 1 minute. Look where the EMA is at on the 5 minute, and look where my demand zone is on the 1 minute, right? So this is a 1 minute demand zone, and then look where the EMA is at on the 5 minute. So it was a good rejection to the upside, right? Rejected off the 50 on the 1 minute, rejected off the 13 on the 5, right? So now I decided to wait for a breakout candle to the upside, which I did end up taking this trade for 40 points, right? I decided not to risk two trades because if I would have risked two trades, I would have been risking around 180, 107, no, $155 to $160 if I would have risked with two contracts. I was like, you know what? This is a 1 minute setup. This was at 8:34, so 5 minutes into market open. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna enter off one contract just in case, so I can take another setup. Okay. So I ran this up for a 1 to 2 RR. We were in some chop. I was low key tempting to get out because we were just running into some chop, right? But I was like, all right, you know what? If a candle closes below the 13 EMA, I'm gonna get out, which never happened. No candles closed below the 13 EMA. It ran this up for a 1 to 2 RR, and it ran up to that high that I had marked out. I was like, oh my god. And I had it at a 1 to 2 RR because I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have it at a 1 to 2 just because I did lower my risk. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just run this up for a 1 to 2 RR. And it hit for a 1 to 2 RR, but ran it up for a 1 to 5 RR. Let me see, probably a 1 to 6 RR. Like, bro, that's crazy. So I would have made around $500 on this trade if I would have stick to my risk, but I did not. I did not hold this whole thing. I only held to 1 to 2 RR, which is fine. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'm not really bugging, right? But also another thing that I was gonna look for, right, or was looking at was right as soon as we took out this high, we were having some good rejection to the downside, right? We go to the 1 minute. All right. Let's see. Let me see. No. Okay, this is the new recent high. We also took out Asia sessions high, previous Asia sessions high. Right, let's take this out. Right, what I was seeing, right, off of this Asia session high, we did take out this we were what's it called? We were rejecting Asia sessions high. So if we go to the higher time frames on the 1 hour, right, we took out Asia sessions highs. We have a good rejection to the downside. What I was looking at was this. We did have a breakout candle to the downside at 942, right? So you could have taken this on the 1 minute off of that high, um, and just taken counter trend and just go for a 1 to 2, and it did hit, right? So that's what I was looking at, but I did not end up taking this trade because I already had traded. But either way, the trade that I did look at was it played out. It played out pretty good. Um, but yeah. I wanted to see what it would do once it bounced off of this high right here and Asia sessions high, and clearly it did pretty well on a counter trend setup, which was really good. Now ES didn't really do much. I didn't really like ES. What I was seeing on ES, yes, we did have a breakout candle at 842, but I just think that Nasdaq was a little bit better. I like trading Nasdaq more than ES. I'm gonna keep it a buck, right? I do have the same bias for ES, right? We did have a breaker structure to the upside, right? But either way, like the EMAs on NQ looked way better. Um, I just didn't see anything on ES. I'm just be real. Like 840 gave us a breakout candle for a 1 to 2 RR. 842 also gave us a candle at right here. and then you could have ran this up for a 1 to 3. But either way, like I don't know, I like the EMAs better on the higher time frames on NQ, right? As you guys can see, look at the difference between the 15-minute on NQ and ES. Look at that. This is like slapped right in the middle at 8:30. At 8:30, we were literally above the 200. Like, yeah, like look at the difference on EMAs on these. Like if we go to the 5-minute, look at that. Look where the 200's at. Nah, I'm good off that, bro. So yeah, I'd rather just take NQ. But yeah, boys, that's gonna be it for today's video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Make sure you guys join the Discord, and as well as if you want to learn how to use the EMAs, click down below. And yeah, boys, that's gonna be it for this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.